Hey guys, and welcome back to this Dune Awakening beginner guide. Please make sure to like, subscribe, all that type of junk, and please make sure to put in the comment section anything you think I've missed for the early game. Thank you very much. To begin, one of the best things to do is starting with the Trooper class because you get the claw, which helps to propel you. Also, the best way to walk across the stand is by bunny hopping and combining that with the claw to get yourself across the sand with least detection. Also, above in the middle of the screen, you've seen a bar slowly turn from yellow to red. That is the amount of sun that you've been working in. So it's now become red, so you've now got sunstroke, so you're now going to start burning through your water even quicker. So obviously, once it starts turning red, you need to get back to shade and start working in the shade and let it go back down. One of my best bits of advice before you go out grinding for any loot or for any resources is double check all your kit, make sure that it's all repaired. You don't want stuff like leaper belts and shields breaking on you mid-grinding, looting and killing, obviously, NPCs and whatnot. So, best thing to do there. Also, have a play around with your accessories, what type of leaper belt you prefer, one that just stops gravity or one that you can actually jump and it propels you. Have a play around with it. Now, as I have the Trooper Claw ability, like I say, I've combined this with the Leaper Belt. I prefer that. Early game, I did do the Claw with the Passive Gravity Belt because the Passive Gravity Belt just meant that I could fall back down to the ground without taking any damage, so it was kind of protecting me. With the Leaper Belt, obviously, I can still do that as long as it's got power, but at least with the combination of the Claw and the Leaper Belt, I can actually propel myself quite far distances with the claw. So early game, this is really, really good. Even to mid game and towards end game, this is still very useful. But especially early game, the claw and the right type of belt is going to help you move around the map so much quicker. So have a play around, see what you think is best for you. But this is what I've gone with, and it's worked very well for me. Now, at the start of the game, you are going to start in the Haga Basin. So you will be obviously having to build a little startup base, but don't be too attached to this, as very quickly you will be asked in the journey section to abandon this base and move to another portion of the map. So you will have to break out from the Haga Basin and move into another part of the map and now rebuild and create an actual early to mid game base. So it's a good idea early on when you are moving to different portions of maps which are fogged over is to launch survey probes from a very high spot to identify all the locations on the map, all the resources, all the components in camps, all the hidden spots. So then obviously you know where is good points to set up, because obviously it's a good idea to set up near trade posts, near resource points, near water points. And obviously start identifying what markers are on the maps. For example, drum sand and quicksand, and making sure that you keep double checking the map to see where these spots are, because they do move. Now, as a good point, I always use the map as a good reference point for my travels. So I am about 40 to 50 hours into the game and I've still not been eaten by the sandworm, Shai Halud. I have done this very well by island hopping. So obviously in the middle of the sand, you've got more, bigger distances in the sand. You've got a chance to obviously be detected by the sandworm and for him to come to you. So I do a lot of island hopping. So I'll go for obviously short distances. I'll drive around the outside or through the middle of the the big islands, and I will use obviously the shortest distance between 2 points from the sand, rather than trying to drive over big long distances of sand. Also, again, like I say, there is drum sand in the Haga Basin and Western and Eastern Vermilius Gap, so them big areas they will really obviously sound out the dinner bell to the sandworm, so try and avoid them. And then the red with the stripes in the middle of it is quicksand. You can usually spot this quicksand because it's a little bit kind of from a distance, a little bit kind of like almost like steam coming off the sand. And then when you get up close to it, the texture color of that sand is like bubbling, so you can you get a good idea of obviously being able to spot it. So try and obviously avoid these areas. Now, we've already mentioned not going out without your kit being in good condition. It's the same with the bike or any vehicles. So you need the vehicle backup tool because that allows you to spawn and despawn your vehicle to protect it from the weather. But also we need to get the welding torch and we need the welding wire so we can do repairs to our vehicles before we go out. But it also means we can repair our vehicles whilst we're out. If you don't have these items, you can't repair your vehicle whilst you're out, and you're then having to try and run or walk or jump back, and you can be, very far out, and it just causes more problems, more chances to be eaten by a sandworm. Now, not only do you have already enough to contend with in the daytime when it comes to the sun, with sunstroke, dehydration, keeping your water levels going, and obviously sandworms, at night time, the Sarduka come for you. Sarduka patrol ships are out and about, and if you're in the vicinity and their lights lock onto you, they will jump down and try and kill you. Now, don't panic if you are killed in the game, because you don't actually lose all your items. Some items will be left in a backpack at your death point, so you can return to that point. You can also use spawn beacons to obviously spawn closer if you dot them about, so you can use that. So don't worry about it too much. It's only if you're eaten by a sandworm is if you lose everything. You will lose everything if you are eaten by a sandworm, but if you're just killed normally, somewhere in the map, you have a chance to retrieve all your items and you don't lose anything. So obviously, one of the biggest parts of the game in Dune Awakening is the water side of things. So water harvesting, water collecting, water storage. This is going to be a very big fundamental part of your game, especially early, mid, and even late game. Late game, it probably gets a little bit easier because you can start building more wind traps, more Freeman death stills to put bodies in, just like in the movie. Because over a good amount of time, you can start doing things that passively collect water, so you don't have to keep on going out with blood extraction tools, with blood bags, and you don't have to always go out with dew scythes, and go to the obviously the dew fields that hold the water, because there's also a time frame where it's best to actually harvest the dew fields as well. But as you go from early game to mid game to late game, the whole point of the game is going out collecting, for example, blood, water. Especially blood is what I've done early game, but also going from early game to mid game is going out collecting blood, getting it recycled in the blood refineries. But then every time you're going out, you're coming back with more and more blood to then put through the blood refinery to then translate that into water. So the blood purifiers, you start off with a basic one and then you go to a more advanced one. So it's a case of being able to put that blood into the machines to then passively start turning that into water. But we need to store this because we also need as much water for not only ourselves to go out with, and obviously for going out with still suits, combining that so that you lose less water, but also we need it for manufacturing purposes, because mid to late game manufacturing requires a lot of water, so we also need to unlock a lot of water storages. We need to find ways that we can store more and more water, obviously with sometimes a unique amount of space in a small base. So again, you're having to then combine building a bigger base with the storage. Now, we've already mentioned the dew scythe. So the little dew fields, as you see here, there is a optimum time frame to actually harvest the dew fields. And if you hit the T button, it brings in the top right, as you can see, a little dial. So this little dial has gone from black to blue to light blue. And then it's going to go to yellow when obviously it's morning. So at the the light blue and the lightest blue, these are the very optimum times to actually harvest these dew fields. And as you're using the scythe, it will actually tell you if you're at optimum time for harvesting, and you can go out with the collectors. And obviously again, it's one of them things where early to mid game you're going out when you're doing the harvesting and you're going to start collecting the water, but you want to start going out with more and more collectors so that you've got more and more water that you're bringing back, and you can deposit that straight into the water storage points. So as we see here, it's now light blue, and the details that I'm getting is we're at optimum dew harvesting time. So again, these are the best times to go out there and harvest the water and then take that back and put it into storage. So as we've just demonstrated, we put water directly into the water storages, and we put blood into the purifier. And then, as we show, the best thing to do is once you've killed every single NPC, is literally use a blood extractor tool and collect blood and put them into the blood bags. I always have a blood bag also in my hotbar because you can directly drink that to keep your water levels topped up, and then allow your still suit to build up a good amount of water that you can obviously then balance between using the still water in your still suit or using blood bags, just so then you optimize obviously how much blood water you're able to obviously convert later on and save. Obviously, this is good ideas. Obviously, just to get back as much blood as possible. On the machines and the storage containers, you can also see how much capacity is actually in the machine itself, but also is in the circuit. And as said before, manufacturing starts with using water as part of the manufacturing, as well as ores at iron ingot stage and steel ingots. Also silicon blocks and cobalt paste and upwards. So eventually you're gonna get to the mid game, what I would call like the mid tier stuff, where you're iron and steel, and that's where you start having to use a lot of water for manufacturing. Now, as we mentioned earlier, we actually started the game as part of the Trooper class. So we went for the Trooper class so that we could get the claw for a lot of early game maneuverability. Now, over the whole map of the game, there are unique teachers that you can then unlock all the other skill trees, which obviously unlock a lot of unique gifts, unique abilities, and a lot of skill things. The one that you can find in the Haggar Basin is the Planetologist, which is Derek. You will have to do quests to unlock all the skills. So you'll keep on given quests, more and more quests to keep unlocking more and more levels of the skill tree as well. Obviously, to get more and more advanced in some of these areas. It can be very long quests and it can be quite far on the map, but it's just a case of, obviously, if you want to progress to the mid to end game, you're going to have to do a lot of these quests and get it fully, these areas fully unlocked, so that you can reap the benefits of some unique skills. So not only do you get some quests, or whatever you want to call it, quests, contracts, journeys from teachers in the game. Each area of the map also has a set of journeys, a set of quests that you can earn XP on, but also there are at the trade posts you can take up contracts to earn Solaris, XP, kit, and eventually sign on with the Atreides or Harkonnens. Now, the good thing is you are able to drop journeys, quests, whatever you want to call it, contracts at a drop of a hat, and obviously start doing another area. One thing I will say is you need to do the mainline journey, because that unlocks a lot of your mainline research abilities and key things that you will need for the game. So you need to get the main journey very much progressed and as far as you can. But you obviously can combine this with a lot of contracts and everything, because a lot of it does work in the same areas of the map. Now, as part of your journeys, quests, missions, whatever you want to call them, you're going to come across a lot of loot holdings where you can find big containers like this one, where it has very unique items in the game, which can be very good, which are one-time use schematics, where you can research them, and it's a one-time build at the time. If you then lose it, destroy it, or whatever, you will then have to return to that same chest to loot the same schematic again and start all over again with the same item. One thing I wish I learned a lot earlier with the construction tool is actually how much more building items there are on the panel, because you don't actually get really any teachings on this. But if you are on the build section and you hit the R button, it actually unlocks more items at the top that you can select from. So obviously you got your fabricators bit on your left, you got a furniture section, you got an Atreides section, and then you got two sets of Chaos sections, which also unlocks different types of walls, different wedge walls, roofs, inclines, special items, pillars, everything like that, so that you can start building more unique looking bases, rather than just the favorite section, which just has the absolute basic square kind of build and stairs. So I wish I learned that a lot earlier than I did. So you need to hit the R button, and it unlocks a lot more opportunities to build more unique type structures, unique looking structures, not just big square horrible buildings. Now you can also go to the different vendors of the different houses, like the Harkonnens, Atreides, whatever, and Chaoms, and you can actually buy more furniture sets and unique building items that you can obviously incorporate into your build. But this is something I wish I learned a lot earlier. I even passed some guy who was actually trying to build. He didn't even realize that you could do that, and I gave him that little tip, and he was very thankful. But hey guys, I think I've covered everything really that you need for the very early, early game beginner kind of section. If anyone thinks I've missed anything, crucial, please put it in the comment section below. I might follow up with an update video. Thank you very much for watching, guys. I hope you have a good one.